A really big Sony game has been cancelled. I want to go over what this means. Ubisoft is working on a big new open world title. We got a new look at Marvel's Blade and way more. Let's start with the PlayStation 5 Pro. That really seems to be happening. Jeff Grubb, who has been right many times, now confirms it as well, saying that it's probably coming in September 2024. Rumor has it that third-party developers are now getting the system in-house so they can already develop for it. It will of course be way more powerful, but the big thing seems to be that Sony will be implementing its own version of DLSS. So this is where they will use their own machine learning to improve images so they can run things at a really high resolution and a really high frame rate. Like, this is already used on PC to get way better performance on weaker machines, but yeah, it should mean that at an affordable price for a console we might get better results than what we expect and can play games, all of them, finally at 4K 60 with even ray tracing. Like, that would be nice. And by the way, interesting to think about, the PlayStation 5 Pro might be the only platform that can run GTA 6 at 60 FPS at launch. Like GTA 5 when it came out and Red Dead Redemption 2 still to this day are 30 FPS. So high chance that GTA 6 will be 30 as well on the regular platforms, looking at the amount of things that are going on in the city. And since it will not come to PC day one, maybe only the PS5 Pro will be powerful enough for a 60 FPS mode. Like, that would be a huge deal, of course. And it really seems that Xbox is not doing a Pro version this time, and that the all-digital Brooklyn console that got leaked is not happening anymore. Instead, the leaker, who also shared the PS5 Pro stuff that has now been confirmed by other reliable people, is saying that Xbox might instead launch their new platform already in 2026. So basically start the new generation earlier than what Sony plans to do, with 2028 seemingly being the target for the PlayStation 6. Like, the PS5 is now outselling the Xbox 7-1 in some European markets. It's not as drastic in the US, but the fact that both the Xbox Series X and PS5 systems are pretty similar in terms of power is not helping Microsoft right now. But if they're getting a next-gen console out first, then they will be the best place to experience third-party games, an edge that could help them a bit for sure. Like, launching the 360 1 year earlier versus the PS3 did help them back in the day. So while the PS5 Pro stuff is very likely true, the Xbox leak about them starting the next generation earlier, still up in the air. Like, of course, take it with a grain of salt. But I can see it happen. It would totally shake things up in Microsoft's favor. Like, I primarily play on PlayStation, but I did go to Xbox way more often when the Xbox One X was the most powerful console versus the PS4 Pro. So yeah, totally curious to hear what you think about a new generation 6 years after the last one and potentially 2 years before Sony. Let me know in the comments down below. Now, speaking of Xbox, we got a new look at the third-person single-player Blade game that is in the works at the Deathloop and Dishonored developers Arcane Leon. It was of course announced with this trailer at the Game Awards, and now we got some cool concept art, like one where we see Blade overlook Paris that is under quarantine because of the vampire outbreak. In the other one we see Blade trying to get into a potential vampire club. Like, of course, having these stealth infiltrations will be amazing looking at Arcane Leon's pedigree. And also seems that the subways will play a huge role in this game, where the vampires can of course easily hide from the light during the day. They're totally going for that Deathloop artistic colorful style, and I'm really down for that. And it seems that the game has been in the works since January 2022, so almost 2 years, meaning that we will likely see it in 2026 at the earliest. Still no word on if it will come to PlayStation. Just don't expect it. Now, we got a set update on Crimson Desert. A new Ubisoft open world game is coming. And yes, I want to talk about The Last of Us Online. Of course, if you like the video so far, leaving a like would be awesome. And subscribe, as I post one of these news roundup videos every Sunday. Yes, you likely remember Crimson Desert, right? And the reason why we likely did not see it at the Game Awards after that amazing Gamescom trailer is because the game has been delayed from the looks of it, from Q2 2024 to Q2 2025. Now, this comes from a Korean investor site talking about whether you should invest in the Korean company behind the game, Pearl Abyss. And remember Dokey as well? That game has also been delayed according to the website. Like, that trailer was even a longer time ago and also kind of looked awesome. but still no word on when it will come out. Seems that Crimson Desert is of course first. I will keep an eye out. The developers, for as far as I could see, did not respond to this yet, but I think it might be good to not expect Crimson Desert for a while, sadly. While the Elden Ring DLC is happening sooner, Thrustmaster seemingly has a deal with the game for special branded controllers, and on a now deleted store listing, confidential information from October 2023 was uploaded, talking about how a few of the controllers will be available in February 2024 to sync with the new Shadow of the Earth 3 expansion release. And they also have other controllers that would be synchronized with a 2025 Elden Ring major key beat or a new game expansion. Now, as I covered before though, in a previous Sunday video, From Software has been saying recently that the DLC is little ways off. Now, this could of course also be a lie to not ruin the surprise like reveal and have it be out like a week later. But I also, again, did not see a major bump or anything in Bandai Namco's earnings. So I don't think the February surprise launch is happening at least anymore, but that has seemingly changed very recently then. What we can at least like take away from this is that there also seems to be a big Elden Ring sort of thing planned for after the expansion. They would really be stupid to not capitalize on this game, and it seems like they are doing so. So it seems like we can expect something big for Elden Ring in 2024 and then 2025 as well. Speaking of open world games, there could be one in the works based on the Might and Magic series, as Ubisoft trademarked the title Might and Magic Fates and also has domain names for the game. And last year at Ubisoft Shanghai, they were looking for someone to work on a new AAA Might and Magic title who had to have open world experience, as highlighted by Kurakasis on Twitter. And Ubisoft has also been looking for a senior brand manager to champion the brand marketing and the product marketability of a new Might and Magic AAA game. Like, them needing a brand manager now means that it's probably closer than we think. Ubisoft Shanghai has been the support studio for many other Ubisoft teams working on Assassin's Creed, Immortals. They were the lead team on some Far Cry DLCs like the Hours of Darkness for Far Cry 5, but seems like they're now the lead team on this new Might and Magic game. Like, why otherwise need the brand manager at the Shanghai studio? And there have of course been many Might and Magic games over the years, even before Ubisoft bought the license in 2003. It's usually a strategy RPG, but there have also been action-focused RPGs, like Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, of course. I never played these games, but I do think it makes sense that Ubisoft might want to revisit the license and give it the open-world RPG treatment. Like, most Ubisoft titles are of course mostly grounded, based on the real world, and this could be their chance to go full fantasy, and it's with an IP they own as well. Like, they don't have to share money with Disney or run ideas by them, like they're doing, for example, for Avatar. And with Elder Scrolls 6 still really far away, I can totally see them trying to fill a void. So we will see when Ubisoft announces the game. It could be a fun surprise next to all the other upcoming titles that we already know about that are already announced. Because if you think about it, we really know about most things that Ubisoft got coming. The Splinter Cell remake, I wonder if that is 2024, would be 3 years after the development started, because it's of course the Far Cry 6 team. We do know that we will get Star Wars Outlaws in 2024. All the big Assassin's Creed titles are mostly announced. Far Cry 7 is rumored for 2025. We know about the new Ghost Recon. Division 3 was announced by Ubisoft themselves. The Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake is still being worked on. Beyond Good and Evil 2 will eventually happen, right? Like, that's probably what most teams are working on, so having some surprises still will be fun. And of course, let me know if you would like to see a Might and Magic open world game from Ubisoft in the comments down below. Maybe you already heard the news, but Naughty Dog confirmed that they cancelled their multiplayer game. We had rumors about it being put on ice for a long time, but now it's official. The game is not coming out. And the reason they give is that to release and support The Last of Us Online, we would have to put all our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. And well, they're obviously picking that second option. That question even came up at all is kind of wild. Imagine if Naughty Dog stopped making single-player games in favor of like online stuff. Oh my god. But yeah, multiple things from this. So for one, why did this have to be supported for years to come? Why not do it like the original Factions mode for The Last of Us 1 that you did support with some updates and then of course you moved on? Or kind of similar to what like Ghost of Tsushima Legends was for Sucker Punch, that also had some extra content and then at one point it was like, hey, this is it, enjoy, you can still play it, and yeah, we will now work on the next game. The other thing is, how in the world could it have taken them this long to realize that supporting a live service game post-launch cost a ton of developers? How could this game have been semi-announced and shown at Summer Game Fest? In March 2023, we had them saying, expect to hear much more about the Last of Us multiplayer game later this year. What the team has put together is so cool. And then a few months later, they suddenly realize, oh, if we actually want to make this work, we have to change the whole studio. Like, that's really weird to me. This project was either super mismanaged or something just kinda changed in terms of direction. But really, this line, to release and support The Last of Us Online, we would have to put all our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come. So if that was true for Naughty Dog, what about the other, like, big Sony studios that are right now making a live service game? Guerrilla immediately comes to mind. They have a similar number of employees versus Naughty Dog, a bit more than what Wikipedia has here, and they are of course doing a Horizon online co-op game. The studio's art director already noted that the game is a massive shift for the studio, almost on the same level as doing the first Horizon, of course going from Killzone to the first Horizon. And building this all-out multiplayer experience is a whole new challenge for the studio. Similar to what Last of Us Online was for Naughty Dog. Now sure, both companies have experience with multiplayer games, but supporting a live service title is completely different than putting out a multiplayer mode back in the day. So you would think that if they want to have this Horizon Online game be played for many years, then they also need to have many people inside the studio working on updates and DLC. And Naughty Dog just basically said in their statement that doing that will hurt single-player game production, so I find it hard to believe that that won't be the case at Guerrilla Games. Like, we're already seeing single-player developers at Guerrilla that worked on Forbidden West, or like Zero Dawn, working on the online project now instead. I think it's smart that Sony is buying and working with studios that are only doing a live game, but Guerrilla already said they want to continue doing single-player games with Aloy as well. It just continues to be more clear that a single-player studio doing multiplayer games will impact their single-player development. And Naughty Dog now paid for it the hard way. 4 years of development time gone to realize something that we've already seen happen many times. BioWare with Anthem comes to mind, Crystal Dynamics with Avengers, most recently Creative Assembly, going back to their strategy games after the cancellation of their multiplayer shooter Hyenas. Will Rocksteady be next after Suicide Squad? Either way, Naughty Dog said they learned a lot from it, and this might also be a very expensive wake-up call for Sony looking at their other live games in development. So it's just sad that we won't see this game in any form, and that this likely also means that Naughty Dog's next game, so a big single-player title, is further away than we likely hope. Now, to end on a positive note though, they did confirm that they have more than one ambitious brand new single-player game that we are working on here at Naughty Dog, and we cannot wait to share more about what comes next when we are ready. One has to be The Last of Us Part 3, you would think, right? And the other one, finally a new IP, fingers crossed. But first we got The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Sony, by the way, sent me an early PS5 review code for it, so I will have my thoughts, especially on that no return mode, before the game is out. Yeah, that won't be happening this coming week though. The year's coming to an end. I want to tell you my top 10 game experiences of the year, so look forward to that. We got more God of War videos coming, probably some other stuff as well, just before Christmas, of course. And my Christmas present to you will be another gaming news roundup video, of course, before Christmas. So look forward to that. Subscribe to not miss it. A like on the video would be awesome. And check out last week's Sunday video with more gaming news by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.